Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Big T Anderson. Today we are doing a reading of Friends by Lore1416. This is a... can't even speak English. This is a Stargate Atlantis fan fiction, and for those who are new here, let me go over the rules. I'm just Schmucky Duck reading it. I am not claiming that this is my fan fiction. I have not written this. Lore1416 has. So, with the links down below, if you feel that the story was good, if you enjoyed it, give them some love by clicking and giving them a review or a critique, so that way they know what they're doing good and what they can work on. If you liked my reading, comment down below, and yeah, that's really all it is. So, with that, this is Friends. You think Atlantis could be alive? John asked, twirling a pen in his fingers as he leaned his elbows on the table. The clicking on Rodney's laptop ceased for a moment as he looked up over its screen, his round face twisted in a sort of pondering frown. I don't know. Maybe? He muttered, staring straight ahead rather blankly. It would sort of make sense, actually, given how little we know about her. Her? John asked with a wry smile. Her? What? Rodney grumbled, looking back at his computer. What else am I gonna say? It? Doesn't sound very personal. Besides, it seems the appropriate connotation to use in this situation. Ships on Earth are always referred to as female, something about the early explorers enjoying the female reference. I don't know. They're all really simple-minded back then, but Atlantis is a ship. Well, both a city and a ship. But some rules should apply. It would only make sense to refer to Atlantis as she. John smiled to himself, leaning back on his chair and lifting his feet, resting them on the tabletop as he stuck the end of his pen in his mouth. Yeah, sure, but you just seemed a little too eager to call her she. You've been having some fantasies, Dr. McKay? What? No, hey, get your feet off my desk, Rodney exclaimed, a little flustered. John raised his brows accusingly. You don't sound very convincing. You might want to see that Mr. Sears drama whatever. It is the Sears Drama Festival, and I won it, thank you very much. Rodney glared at him. John did not let up. Fine, I've had fantasies about a beautiful supermodel ancient woman with the soul of Atlantis who is the first alien woman not to be attracted to you, but me. Yes, that's a little harsh, don't you think? John interrupted, pouting quite comically. Harsh? Harsh! Rodney exclaimed, then began counting on his fingers. Let's see, shall we? Taylor, that ancient priestess, the other one, the two princesses, your space pirate girl, Taylor again. Basically every single woman you've had ever said hi to have fallen at your feet. I wouldn't even be surprised if Elizabeth and even Sam have a little thing for you. John shrugged. Well, there was that one time with Sam. What? Rodney exploded, his face bright scarlet with sudden rage. John chuckled. Relax, McKay, I'm kidding. McKay heaved a massive sigh of relief, calming down considerably. John made a little face as he picked up some metal cube from McKay's desk and looked at it. What, you'd really think I'd tell you if we ever... Rodney glared at him with pure hatred. John threw on a passive expression. I wouldn't. That's just not cool. Come on, bros before... Rodney reached forward, wrenching the cube from John's hands. Get out. What did I do? He whined, throwing his hands up innocent. Rodney grumbled to himself, rounding the table and returning to work. Stupid perfect soldier boy, stupid hair. Should be clowns of Pegasus and sick them all on you. Hey, John protested, but couldn't help but chuckle painfully. That threat was just a little too personal. McKay gave him one last dirty look before going back to his work. Jennifer know about these particular fantasies? John inquired, not at all ready to depart as requested. Of course she does. We tell each other everything. Rodney replied without looking up. Really? John questioned, his voice registering substantial surprise. He was actually disturbed by the thought. No! Rodney nearly shrieked. How stupid do you think I am? You really think she put up with me after I told her everything going on up there? My mind is like some serious Mad Hatter territory. John thought about the time he'd been in McKay's head, out on that rowboat, while Rodney willingly dreamed a whaler's nightmare. He made a face. Nope, he really didn't think she would stick around. Point taken, he mumbled, chewing on the end of the pen again. Rodney rolled his eyes and went back to work. So, what do you think she's called? Atlantis. Rodney groaned, his shoulders sagging. He looked up over the top of the computer screen to see John still with the pen in his mouth holding a piece of paper into a simple airplane. What was he... Where had he gotten... Rodney frowned and looked around the computer, noticing the stack of important files next to where Sheppard's feet had been. Hey, what are you doing? I have to submit those! John met his gaze holding the airplane aloft. How much you want to bet I can get this to land on your laptop? Pointed towards the door. McKay scoffed. It'd be impossible. Improbable pointed in any direction. There'd be no way you could be certain that... $20. John declared, never breaking eye contact, and threw the plane. The airplane made a perfect wide loop away from the door, around the desk they occupied, and lazily came to rest on the laptop's keys, where McKay had been working. What? Rodney stammered, staring at John. That's $20 American. Not your Canadian stuff. It's like Monopoly money. I'm over it. The thrill is gone for me. John declared, reaching over the computer screen to retrieve his plane. That was just a fluke, Rodney declared, suddenly coming back to himself at the threat he would have to pay out any money at all. Oh, really? John challenged, narrowing his gaze. He glanced around the room, then pointed. Filing cabinet. Once more pointing the plane in an entirely different direction, he threw it, and once more it obeyed his call, and after a calm, leisurely glide around the room, came to a gentle landing on top the filing cabinet. He grinned widely as Rodney's face registered shock. The doctor picked up the airplane with a confused frown. How did you... John, still highly pleased with himself, withdrew another paper randomly from the pile, leaving the first plane in Rodney's possession. What? Everyone can do that. I can't. Rodney confessed, his face still a blanket of surprise. Can't even make one that flies in a straight line. What, really? John asked incredulously. Then he remembered the week of jumper training with Rodney and wasn't so surprised anymore. Rodney's brows raised a minute degree, emphasizing the degree of shame he felt, before he shook his head and came back to his senses. He looked at John, making yet another airplane from his important files. Hey, what are you... Rodney gave up trying to stop and instead asked a question he should have a long time ago. Why are you even here? Don't you have some place to be? Where's Taylor? Shouldn't she be babysitting you? She's napping with Torin, John replied with a little shrug. I drank the last Rebel I got from Jackson's girlfriend last time I was on Earth. Couldn't sleep if I wanted to. Rodney continued to stare at him rather incredulously as so many unanswered questions came to mind. Want to see how far we can fly one of these babies? John asked, standing as he raised a brow in silent challenge. Kayla found them sometime later seated on the floor in the hallway outside Rodney's lab, paper spread out around them, folding maniacally. They were creating what looked like crude ships or birds out of the paper. They both looked up when she approached. Rodney grinned, though, folding even faster when John jumped to his feet, abandoning the construction of yet another plane to eagerly reach for the baby she toted. She handed Torin over without a word, barely glancing at John as he kissed the baby's head, mumbling something incoherent to him. Instead, she focused all her attention on Rodney. What are you two doing? I'm teaching Rodney how to make paper airplanes, John explained, giving her a quick smile. I can make them, just never really fly well, Rodney protested. Taylor smiled at him regardless before looking back at John with confusion. For what purpose? It's fun, John declared brightly. Here, Rodney, sure, but use mine. Mine's good, see? Rodney retorted, clambering to his feet with the plane. Look, it's exactly the same as yours. No, it's not. Yours barely fly. Mine went all the way to the tower, John insisted, pointing at the spire in question before returning his hand to cradle the precious baby he held. That's just because there was a wind. If there hadn't... You're just jealous. John interrupted, then looked at Taylor, all charmed. He's just jealous. His barely fly. She raised her brows, displaying proud understanding, and accepted the arm he looped around her shoulder. Her arm encircled his waist, and the two stood there as Rodney held out the airplane over the railing. He threw it gently, and they all watched it soar. They traveled in a perfect and true straight line all the way to the nearest tower before veering off towards the left and disappearing between the smaller spires. "See?" Rodney exclaimed. "Mine fly." "That one was mine," John defended, glaring at him. "No, it wasn't," Rodney protested, looking slightly ashamed, and maybe even a little more concerned, the telltale sign he was lying. Behind his back, he discreetly dropped the other airplane he had held. "I saw that," John exclaimed, pointing at Rodney, with the hand that hung on Taylor's shoulder. She laughed at the pair of them. They were impossible. And that was Friends. And, you know what, kind of like this, I actually have a personal experience. Me and one of my friends, really, we had a moment kind of like this, where he was very bookish. I wouldn't say I was Jack, though. I was... from what I understand, Jack is kind of like the debonair, everyone falls over him. I'm kind of not, by any means of the imagination. But I was someone who got into a lot of physical altercations, and I defended him a couple times, and eventually, you know, he was good with video games, and I found out that was really all he felt comfortable with. So, you know, that was actually something that we kind of worked on. We did different things and had a lot of fun. He's one of my friends to this day, so I can see how this would come across. I've been there, and I kind of like it. So, for some reason, I just can't. It has to be a recording with something's like, we're going to do this now. Anyway, that was Friends by Lore1416. If you liked it, share it with someone, maybe another fan of the fandom, someone who likes fan fictions. I'm always trying to get better at this, so if you guys have any pages for voice acting or for, you know, I'm actually learning. Funny story about this. To learn how to act more with more of a female voice, I actually had to look up like transgender how-tos, and I mean, because if anyone has to do it, they probably got it down to science, and hopefully I'm learning, and it sounds like, you know, it's coming across. I'm trying to really kind of immerse myself just to give myself more range, and hopefully that comes across. If not, then I'm kind of just screwing myself in the foot, and I'm not that flexible. So, if you like the fan fiction, link below. Give the author some love. I mean, really, I stress this every time. If you enjoyed it, give the author some love. Say, hey, I enjoyed your story. Otherwise, they don't know. Once again, if you like my stuff, link to the video, send them out, subscribe if you enjoy my stuff, and once again, thank you for joining me, and ta-ta for now.